Hey, hello everybody, welcome to the sound test room. Today we are taking a look at the remarkable Memory Moon ME80, based on the classic CS80, Yamaha CS80 synth, CS compact synthesizer. Okay, right, so this is absolutely, it is a CS80. It might as well be, except it's so much more because it's software. But if you want this to be exactly like a CS80, it can be. It's designed to do that. Obviously, it all looks the same. We're going to do a complete walkthrough of the entire synth. The original CS80, you see these 4 memory buttons here. The original CS80 back in the day, the 5.5 ton thing, you could store 4 memories, 4 patches, if you like. 2 for the top synth here and 2 for the bottom synth. And you did this by programming a panel which was a reflection of the 2 top synths. Now, the 2 synthesizers, this first one here, he says 1 and 2, 1, this bit here and this bit here. The top one refers to all these presets along here, and on the original you couldn't adjust the preset. Once you selected the preset for either the top or the bottom or both, that preset was locked. You couldn't, the panel would do nothing. However, with the software version, of course, you can. And of course, this has thousands, and well, you could store billions of presets if you wanted to. But it's such a beautiful synth. It's, you know, and it was all about the expression with the CS80, the aftertouch, the polyphonic aftertouch. Now, you could program these 2, but it doesn't matter. This thing here, this is global, this middle section. So, synthesizer 1, synthesizer 2, global section, then the preset section here. And this is where the similarity kind of ends on this section. This has a delay built in. It also has a reverb built in. You also have complete control over the drift parameters, so the detuning of all the oscillators. You have keyboard view, of course. You have envelope 1, envelope 2, and an EQ. However, we're going to be concentrating on it looking like a CS80. And this section here also is the same as what the hardware was. Now, we used hardware CS80. And it's not a difficult synth to program. It's not even a difficult synth to get your head around. It's really easy. There's nothing complicated going on here, and I'll explain this. So, first of all, I might play a couple of patches. This was called RG Spiral Attitude, and I did make a few adjustments. But we can go and have a look at what's going on here. So, for instance, we could choose, like, say, there's tons of stuff we could go and look at. What's this one called? China. It's a And if we go, it comes with, if you buy this by the way is $40 this costs. It's remarkable. It's been out for years and years and years. $40. It comes with 4 banks already loaded. But if we go to the factory bank here, and if we look at this first patch here, this is what it'll load up with, is Blade Run Aftertouch. If I'm pressing harder on the keys. This is touch responses controlled here. And here. So after another couple of patches, I will actually go through the synth and how it works. Vangelis, when Vangelis used this, he used a lot of presets and didn't. So the thing, my point being is, if you use the presets on the original hardware, there's no way you could adjust the sound whatsoever. Other than doing some bits and pieces with the global section, you couldn't actually adjust the synth section. You could adjust the keyboard section, this section here, the global control, but you couldn't adjust anything on the synth itself. So you were stuck with the presets, and Vangelis did tend to use a lot of the presets. Yes, this is on desktop. Oh, hardware, flipping neck. A good CS80 now costs you over 20,000 quid in one in good nick, and you've got to look after it, you know. So apparently, as research, I'll Find My Way Home by John and Vangelis used this patch, which is EP on the top layer, so EP and bass. And this does as well have a reverb built in, which is lovely because you've got to have reverb on it. Now, anyone who knows what a CS80 sounds like will know that this just sounds like a CS80. If you close your eyes, this is capable of so many cool tricks. So let's just do this. Let's get on with it and do a default patch. So I'm just going to go initialize down here, and this will do this. Now, this gives us just a saw wave. So just let me quickly take you through the top panel. So the first synth here, so it goes kind of like from here to here. And just quickly explain what's what, so you understand. So if you ever do get a real CS80, you'll know exactly how to program it. Or if you get this, you'll know how to program it. Now, you'll see here, mix 1 and 2. This is mixing between first oscillator and the second, first synth and the second synth. Okay, so you've got your voltage controlled oscillators, your voltage controlled filters, your VCA amp, and then your touch controls basically here, touch response for both. So they just basically repeat themselves. You don't need to worry about this. This is modern. This is to do with the bank select, bank up and down, randomizing bank, morph speed, random 2. So randomize 1, randomize 2, morph between the randomization. You don't need to know that. The original CS80 had a square wave and a sawtooth. Okay, so if we turn that off, we'll still hear it because we're mixed between 1 and 2. So 1 is off, 2 is on. So if I set the second one to square and switch saw back on here, and then we could blend between square and saw on the mix. The second thing is you could bring in the sawtooth as well, the square wave, sorry. But there's no mix between them. And there's no mix between them here other than this. And then you have, if I go on to square wave here, you have pulse width. And true pulse width modulation. And speed. Let's go back to saw, and then noise. Then you have the filter section. Okay, so the filter section again is really, there's nothing going on really. It's dead straightforward. You have a high pass filter and a low pass filter, and you can blend between them any way you like. Thank you. And you can blend between them any way you like. So for instance, we can take our low pass down and then run our resonance up. But it's not, it's just a dead basic filter. And then we have high pass. And we can blend between our filters now, like that. But it has this really rich, warm tone. Just turn the master volume up a bit. Okay, so moving on, IL and AL. So it's initial level and attack level, and this is for the filter cutoff. So if I put some attack on and decay, you won't hear anything until we bring up the amount. So this is kind of like a blend of the amount. So because it has two sliders, an initial level and an attack level, it has a really wide range of control. Let's turn the reverb on. Sorry, I turned it off. So we're just still working with our one oscillator and our one sawtooth, just to explain. Now, these are for loading patches, so they're modern. VCF level, we'll switch off the VCF, and we won't hear anything. We do have, apart from this is quite strange, but it's after the VCF, so it won't, the filter won't affect it. It does have a sine wave. But it is before the ADSR. So blending this sine wave gives a really nice sound as well. So, and then at the end, there is like, this is for touch response. So initial touch response, and this is after touch, okay? So initial, which is when you first hit a key, you've got a little bit more control over the filter. So this is already a really nice kind of trumpety type sound. So, and then there's the level. It's basically going to boost the level of the filter. So it's like filter drive. Now the aftertouch, right? I'm pressing aftertouch now. Nothing is happening. I'm pressing it now, and we can control the aftertouch with that. Now, this is only one of the amazing things the CS80 and this, of course, was the amazing control you had over aftertouch and some modulation. Even though the modulation, now you won't actually see anything that says LFO in. And again, don't forget, we've still got our mix turned all the way up to Oscillator 1. So that's basically a run through of Oscillator 1. We could give it some release actually. We're going to have to give this some release to even it out. Okay, so we'll just ignore Oscillator 2 just for a sec because it is exactly the same, and then I'll show you the some of the controls here. Now, the first part of this is if we are blended between. So remember, that's our square wave. Let's set up a simple kind of but nice square wave. Let's have a little bit of filter going on. And let's give it some pulse width. Hang on a minute, let me give it some high pass filter and a little bit of pulse width modulation. And a tiny bit of noise. And let's blend back in with 1. So it's very, very versatile and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very expressive, because it's 2 independent synthesizers all doing its own thing. And then you can mix the overall level of both synths together there. Okay. So now this first one here, pitch is master pitch control. Obviously, you can just go up and down, fine tuning sort of thing. This control detunes, and at the moment, all this is still on what was on the original CS80. Channel 2 detune, it detunes channel 2 from channel 1, so synth 1 from synth 2. Allowing for a little bit of chorus. Has the best ring modulator in the world and the nicest sounding. Okay, so sub oscillator, this is your modulator. Okay, so this is your modulation, basically your LFO. So your LFO, don't worry about what it says wheel at the moment. So to bring LFO in, to bring modulation in, this is going to modulate the VCO, the voltage controlled oscillators. It will modulate both of them. We can turn synchronization on, but I've got it off at the moment. This is related to the speed. So if I just drive the VCO up, and the depth is controlled the further I go to this. So and we can't, like I said, we can sync it to like whatever our DAW setup. I guess Studio One set to 120. After touch again. Noise. Okay, so that's your VCO, VCF. Same thing. Synced. Hang on a minute. Let's turn it off. Now, it sounds almost like ring modulation. So if I bring the ring mod in as well, and then get some very cool effects. But you can have it very subtle. The amount is controlled by this. Now the pitch wheel won't do anything at the moment. If I move the mod wheel, it won't do anything. So we need to engage wheel here. Have it set to whatever we want. Well, in this case, I'm having it set to the oscillator. So you can set your wheel up like that. Now, this is the tuning, the next section. So that's basically your LFO. You set it how you wish. Okay. And then this here is your tuning between your two oscillators. Okay, so then we've looked at mix between oscillator 1 and 2. This is another another filter. And again, this is why the CS80 had such a distinctive sound, because the way you control all these filters, it sounded not quite like anything else. Now, this is the touch response section for your modulation, and it's directly related to what's going on with your sub oscillator. So if I put speed up and then VCO, and I apply pressure, but I just see it's going slower, and as I apply pressure, it speeds up because of the speed. Same with the filter as well. So again, there was so much control over the versatility of the sound. Now, if you want your modulation wheel to do anything at all, of course, let's just stop the aftertouch thing. I'll get into this bend thing in a sec. There you go. If you want your wheel to do, this is the amount of modulation. So if I'm going to, I've got my modulation wheel fully open now, and I'm going to run this like this. Close the wheel. Oh, hang on a minute. Set to my VCO. Unfortunately, I can't have the wheel go to everything, but there you go. So that's how you set up your wheel controls. This so we've gone okay, this the low high, this is for again more control over filtering. So this is for the level of what's going to happen now. So if I go all the way down to a lower octave, and I push this up, see how the filter opens and closes? depending on where I am in the lower level of the keyboard. It's like keyboard tracking. It is keyboard tracking. But we have a... This is for the high end. So it's independent control over the keyboard tracking. Let me just switch that on. Okay, and then this is the level of the actual filter amounts for the low and the low and the high. So again, more control. Okay. Again, we've looked at how the presets worked. On this one, you can, of course, adjust the presets. On the original, you couldn't once they were loaded. You had to go back to your panel settings here, revert to panel. But you could mix and match, like either panel 2 or panel 1 with either a preset from the opposite side sort of thing. Okay, so getting on to things that weren't in the original at the moment. So delay, of course. And the reverb. And then we've looked at the drift, the keyboard, the 2 envelopes and the EQ. They weren't there. This is nice. This has now. This wasn't. Neither was this. I'll get into this section in a second. This wasn't on the original CS80 either, obviously, of course. So you can set the actual amount of voices. 12 is fine, but then you can have unison. So we could set, and then we can detune and spread out as well. Stereo. And it's polyphonic. Let me turn this down a little bit. Sorry for headbutting the camera. Very difficult to do this with any other synth, really, because of the way it was built, way the original was built. It was, you know. So even when the unison and stuff, I think it totally changes the sound. It's very, very good. Okay, so this section as well, the portamento, you could either have glissando, and it was controlled by this. So normal portamento. I wish more synths would have this featured as well. So polyphonic portamento. But this one here, glissando, what this did was played all the notes chromatically from wherever. So I can set it at its slowest rate. And the next key I press, so if I'm going to play this bottom C here, and then I'm going to play loads of octaves above. Now, if I can get this, use this loads. And I really wish more modern synthesizers had these. Now we can control our, let me just see. Let me switch that off. Let me actually leave it on. And I'm going to switch on where it says port, where it says foot switch here. I'm going to switch port on, and you'll see that now portamento is all gone. So this is another performance trick. By when you hit the keyboard, the sustain pedal now. So depending on how I'm playing and I put the pedal down, it will convert that into portamento or sustain, of course. Yeah, so basically that is how the synth worked. I'm going to play some more patches now, but it was massive, and at first it looks. Let me just show you some of the things now that you can do that you couldn't do with the original as well before we get into any patches. So I'm just going to hit initialize again. Well, I'm going to need to go and do this, and then well, it's not letting me do it now. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's no big deal. What you could do. So you had a square. So now, of course, if you tap on here, you can choose from lots of different wave shapes, and change them out as well. And also the sine wave can be lots of different wave shapes as well. Waveform, sorry. So it's very, 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 very good. So we'll go to. So there's the initialized patch. So remember when I said if we turn our voltage controls filters down, I'll turn it down for both. You add the sine, but it was after the filter sort of thing. But it doesn't really matter with the sine wave, right? That's probably what they were thinking. You can still do some really, really nice, get some really nice sounds, especially when you start to detune them. Instant church organ, you know, super. But you could do this with the original, but with the addition of the extra. With the extra waveforms are available with after the filter, and you can also, I think, yeah, you can have both filters low pass or both filters high pass just by clicking on the little filter button there. Like I said, you can choose where the actual mod wheel goes. You can have it go to ring. Slow attack, fast decay there. Slow attack, slow decay. Brilliant. How brilliant is that? So let's listen to some cool patches, shall we? It's all going to sound very Vangelis-y. Please, if you're enjoying the video, please strike the like, subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, please consider becoming a Patreon. Patreon is very important to me and Joe. I'll make a super chat, super stickers, or a donation if you can. How lovely is that? No other synthesizer in the world sounded like the CS80. Not even the 50 or the 60. They couldn't because they didn't have the dual synth engine. It was notoriously difficult to keep in tune as well, the original. When we used them in the 80s, literally, I said to Joe to turn it on at least an hour before you were going to record with it. Oh yeah, sorry, and I did mention as well, the original had a chorus as well. Which was quite nice. Lovely, lovely. Let's try a few more patches, shall we? I mean, all this stuff, all this juice led to very, 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 very powerful stuff, powerful sound, especially in the 70s. No, this is High Soul Rack. This is Desktop. Very nice. Come out in, well, I think it was 76. And Vangelis jumped straight on it. Along with many, 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 many other people. Stevie Wonder used it pretty much all the time. If you run out into like Funk 1 and bass, and then let's go. Oh, this will have been all over them albums, Cara. I'm just gonna play some of the very cool sounds. There's a link for the description in this. It's $40. $40, and there is a trial version you can download for free, which injects silence every 20 seconds or something. But you can still get a feel for the synth. $40 is now for this. It's really it's been out for years as well. They also do 2 other synths as well. They do a copy of the Memory Moon and Prophet 5. It's just got the best ring modulator ever. Uses literally no CPU. It's been out for so long, you know. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It really is. But every sound has that vibe. You see what I'm saying? If you don't like the sound of this synth, you will hate it, you know. I happen to love the sound of the sound. If you were to say what is your favorite all-time synth of all time ever, it would definitely be the Yamaha CS80. The sounds of their time, though. See, remember last week when I said I'm going to start to do a couple of these, show you how I like make some zen kind of chilly ambient kind of vibe stuff. I will use like the quiet music apps that we did the other day, and also this as well. So it probably was one of the earliest polyphonic synths, to be fair, and I think it's 8-note poly, or was it 16? I think it was 8-note poly when it came out. It was the first synth in the world to be able to store patches until the Prophet 5 come out. Oh, listen to the depth. So I mean, some of that. I mean, I thought that the aftertouch was a bit much. So I mean, if you're ever kind of thinking, "Wow, that's happening there," someone else needs to show you. You can control the level of it here. The other thing was, which was used to death a lot back in the day, but Van Gelder started it, to be fair, was the use of this bend. Now, what this does is apply. It's pitch modulation basically in its basic form. It's a pitch modulation. It applies a slight bend up before you get to the initial note. So the effect being, if we drive our oscillators, so they're quite punchy. Let's do the same with our attack, and let's do this. So make it, I'm just gonna, so make it more of a, so there's a kind of a quick change of patch for the purposes of this, but if we listen, you'll know you'll know the vibe as soon as I start to do this bend up here. I did it in some patches I made with Xeon, because I can do it in Xeon. It's really nice, but it adds it's pitch modulation, and it adds a slight bend up to the sound. So listen, check this. Polyphonic as well. And it's one of the charming things that the CS80 just had on its front panel. And of course, if it's on a panel and it's on the global section, so even if you had the patches selected, like, you could still. So if people didn't want to program it and they just were playing patches, they'd still go bonkers with it. You could do and this is, I guess, why they had all these filters going on, these filter controls, and then they had this overall filter here. Now we're getting very CS80 because of the bend. See, now it's just a synth. Now to CS80. And it's rich. Of course it's not, it's the ME80, but you know what I mean. See, again you can. Listen to any Van Gelder album from the 70s. Listen to Bo Berg. Yeah, listen to Albedo 0.39. Spiral. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this evening. We took a look at the marvellous Memory Moon ME80. $40. Awesome. It's a lush synthesizer based on the classic CS80, but it does much more now. This is version 2.5. Lovely synth, just nostalgia heaven, you know. It really is. For me, I mean, I guess there are some people which will absolutely despise the sound. But if you like wibbly wobbly, you're in. Like I said, it does come with some of these other banks are kind of more modern sounding. But yeah, it's just absolutely, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm going to play some from this bank. And I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. Bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to Dave Fox as well. He did a very good thing. See you all later, guys. I'll play for a couple of more minutes and that'll it. Bye.